Hitman 3 is one of the greatest games of all time. Here's why. Hitman 3 released in January of 2021 to universal critical acclaim. But you may be thinking, yeah, Sam, it's a good game, but how does that make it one of the best games ever made? It's only been out for a few months. How can you judge it against all the games that have been out for the past 20 odd years? Well, throughout the course of this video I'm going to try and explain why. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I think the best place for us to start is the gameplay. Now, yes, the combat in this game at best is average and at worst is very stiff and unresponsive, but it does have its benefits being that way. The fact that the combat in this game is as such means that more often than not you're going to try and do everything in your power to stop a firefight from ensuing. I, a player who often in stealth games tends to just run and gun, in Hitman 3 tend to be calm, calculated, and try and find every option possible before I have to just straight out shoot a target in the head with my suppressed silver baller. Take Hitman 3's first level, Dubai. There are people that have completed the level in 7 seconds by just running halfway up the staircase, pulling out their pistol, shooting either of the targets, and then just running back to the exit. I could easily do that, it's not that hard to learn, but where's the fun in that? Why would I want to pull out a sniper rifle or a pistol when I instead can find elaborate ways to eliminate my targets? Even more so when I can make them look like accidents and get away as a silent assassin. Let's talk about the Dubai level. Yeah, as I said, I can just shoot them in the head with my pistol within 7 seconds, but why not get a screwdriver, infiltrate the top levels of the skyscraper as a security guard, then get a disguise and work our way into one of our target's rooms, arrange a meeting with him, maybe not use the screwdriver. Use the meeting as a way to get onto the balcony quickly. Use a screwdriver to loosen a screw in one of the barriers, meaning that when our target inevitably leans against it during our meeting, they might just accidentally fall to their death. Or how about our other target? Sticking with our security disguise, why don't I maybe steal someone else's uniform and pretend to be a guard that's hired to protect one of our targets? All I have to do is secretly dispatch of the other guard by proving my worth by throwing knives, and then maybe we could get some alone time. Or I could be a bit more patient, grab a fuse cell from a nearby box and overload the sun to kill our target. Why would I go in and shoot them within 7 seconds when I can have a more elaborate and fun way of assassinating my targets? I mean, who doesn't want to kill someone with the goddamn sun? And yes, if it all goes wrong, I can still revert to whipping out a pistol, finding an assault rifle on the floor, and just shooting everyone in sight or sprinting for an exit. Now, I've always been a fan of the Hitman games, but I've never truly played them to the full extent and potential that I have recently. My first game was Absolution, a very linear game where there wasn't too many options to assassinate people. So initially, my expectations for the game were very different to how they are now. The Paris mission in Hitman 1 for free was a truly great introduction to the world of Assassination Trilogy, but the fact that the game was episodic put me off playing it properly until about 2 years ago. And even when I did get those other levels and I played through the whole game, I still found myself going back to the Paris mission, and especially Sapienza, the first two in the trilogy. I'm wondering, why are all the other levels worse than these first two? Yeah, Marrakesh is huge. Yeah, Hokkaido is also big, with many opportunities to assassinate my targets with. But why do they not feel the same as the first two levels? And the reason why is the first two levels are just huge open canvases which you can paint all over. Yes, you might have to get a disguise to get into a certain area, but that's about it. Whereas the levels afterwards all start off very open, but then tend to limit you by making you find an underground bunker to assassinate one of your targets, or have to find security doors to open. As someone that's played the games a lot now, I don't find it as tedious, but as a newcomer, I found it very overwhelming. And I found myself going back to the original two levels more than any of the other four, purely because of the simplicity yet open-ended nature of the maps. Having finished Hitman 1, Hitman 2 had just released, and I found myself going straight over to it. Hawke's Bay was a great introduction and a mission that truly allowed me to understand the fact that this game was going to be a bit more open-ended, but still allowed me the opportunities to assassinate my targets any way I liked, just like the Paris and Sapienza missions in Hitman 1 did. And oh my god, did they follow it up. Once again, the first mission in each three of the games is a truly great one. Miami is one of the best Hitman levels in the trilogy. Just like Paris, just like Dubai, the fact that it's open-ended, it's just one level, but all you need is a disguise to get into an area, and that's where the fun begins. Now, when people talk about the Hitman series, I think something they often look over is the disguises and the opportunities that they give you. Yes, disguising yourself as something like a security guard or the flamingo on the Miami map is fun, but the highlight of the whole game comes from dressing yourself up as someone and letting 47 guide your targets to their death. And I think another highlight of this series, and this in particular, comes through the Whittleton Creek map in Hitman 2. Something that I will never forget is disguising myself as a realtor and leading my target through a house. Watching 47 lead a target throughout a house and describe all the ways in which he can kill them and hide it is honestly one of the highlights of the series. Yes, disguising yourself as a guard so you can get yourself into a room to shoot a target is good, but the mission stories that come from disguising yourself as particular people is one of the highlights, and I keep saying this, it's one of the highlights of the series. As a relatively bad player at Hitman to begin with when I started playing through the trilogy, the mission stories really did help me realise how the game and the characters and the world reacted to what I did. I wouldn't even say that the mission stories are the best way to complete the levels, but they're the best way at showcasing what the levels have to offer, and they're the best way to get you thinking how you can beat a level, how you can assassinate your targets, what you can use, and that's where Hitman really begins to thrive. You might be thinking right now that all I'm doing is talking about Hitman 1 and 2, so why does this make Hitman 3 one of the best games of all time? Before even starting Hitman 3, it is already one of the best values for money that you can buy in gaming. For just £50 you first of all get the PS4 and PS5, or the Xbox One and Xbox Series X version if you're on console. If, like me, you already owned Hitman 1 and 2, you then get a free upgrade, just like Hitman 2 offered, to get all the Hitman 1 and 2 levels upgraded in the Hitman 3 engine for completely free in Hitman 3. This means if you're a newcomer to the series, you can play through the whole trilogy in its full ray-traced glory on Hitman 3. Or, if you're a veteran of the franchise, you're able to go back, replay the missions, carry over your progress and improve, play the new escalations or elusive targets as soon as they come out without having to download free games and switch between them. It's all available on the one platform. Furthermore, if you're brand new to the series, you can pick up Hitman 1 and 2 for stupidly cheap now. They're always on sale for about 10 quid each, and in terms of content, it's not just playing through each level once. They're so replayable, you can easily get a good 5 or 10 hours out of every single level without even discovering everything that one level has to offer. When you factor in the fact that you get 6 levels from Hitman 1, 6 levels from Hitman 2, and the 6 brand new levels in Hitman 3, 18 levels in total for £50. On top of that, if you had the Game of the Year version of Hitman 2, you get a whole new campaign on top of that, and the sniper missions are already in the game for free. And on top of that, you get 2 extra missions from Hitman 2, a bank mission and a sort of holiday resort mission, both of which are really fun. They're not really related to the story, but that brings the level total to 20 in total. So, before you even touch Hitman 3, you have about 50 to 100 hours worth of content where you can master each individual level, not even including the training missions, before you even start the 3rd game. The value for money and quality of content here is genuinely insane. And remember, all of this is in the brand new Hitman 3 engine. But I bet you're still wondering, yeah, this is all really good, great value for money. How is it one of the best games ever made? Well, we've still got Hitman 3 that we've got to discover. I've just platinumed Hitman 3 as of yesterday. I never platinum games, so that already goes to show just how engrossing this game is. As I alluded to before, the first mission in Dubai, whilst yes, it doesn't hold your hand at all if you're a newcomer to the franchise, is a great start to the game. If this was the last level, I would have been more than happy. And yes, we'll get onto the last level later. It was slightly disappointing. The second level in Dartmoor, in my opinion, is the second best Hitman level of all time, just behind, the second level, Dartmoor, is the second best Hitman mission of all time, just behind the Paris level in Hitman 1, which, as I said before, is included in this game. It's a strange mix of Hitman and the great film Knives Out. If you haven't watched Knives Out, I would really recommend it. It's a murder mystery detective style mission where if you want to, you don't have to, you can disguise yourself as a great detective, go in the house, try and figure out who murdered one of the family members and why. This all has something to do with the whole plot at large, to do with Providence. Anyway, I'm starting to blag on a bit. We then go to what some people think is the best Hitman level of all time, and a lot of people that weren't on side got brought on side because of this one level in Berlin. Now, I'm not going to go into too many spoilers for the story, but we'll just say that Agent 47 is on the run, a la Hitman Absolution style. And he's at a nightclub in Germany where there are a lot of people out to get him. Now, there are 11 people in total in the club that are after him, and Agent 47 has to assassinate 5 of them. Now, that sounds easy. You've got the little red markers which show you where the people are, you just have to go and find them. There's probably mission stories you have to follow. No. This mission stops holding your hand, and it's why a lot of people love it. It's not personally my favourite mission, but I still do love it. The fact that you go from hunter to hunted truly is a great role reversal, and it's just a one-off mission. It really does work. The fact that you're not able to see where your targets are and you just have to hope you don't accidentally stumble into one is really fun, and I love it. There's tons of fun, different ways to assassinate your enemies in this mission, and whilst you're not initially told them, if you experiment a bit, this mission can truly be great. So, 3 missions in, and so far, all of the missions are very, very good. Whilst yes, the story isn't the best and the cutscenes are a bit below par, the missions and the gameplay are more than good enough. From here we go to one of the 2 stumbling blocks, in my opinion. Whilst not huge, they are slight drawbacks for me. Chongqing is the Chinese level in this game, and whilst on my first playthrough I absolutely loved it, the more and more I played it, the more tired I got of its layout in particular. The atmosphere of this level and some of the mission stories truly are really good, and all the stuff on the top of the level, overground to do with Hush, in my opinion, is some of the best stuff in this game. However, there is then the underground lair, sort of James Bond style, which, spoiler, IOI is working on a James Bond game next, which this is exciting in terms of James Bond, but as a Hitman game it doesn't quite work for me. It is fun, but I just don't feel like the 2 levels work together. The map feels way too big. It takes too long to get from point A to point B, and if you forget something at the top of the level that you need to do when you're downstairs at the bunker, it can feel very tedious. Having said that though, getting silent assassin, sniper assassin suit only on this level is probably the most fun out of any of the maps. So even despite the fact that it's one of the worst levels out of the whole trilogy in my opinion, it still is a fundamentally good map. Next, we're tasked with going to Mendoza in Argentina to discover what Diana Burnwood's plan is and what part she has to play in all of this. Whilst it doesn't reach the same heights as the likes of Paris, Sapienza, Dubai or Dartmoor, or even Miami, quite a lot of levels there, it still is a really great map. And when replaying all of the levels to get mastery, this was one of the ones that I found to be least tedious and the most fun to discover new things. I don't have a lot to go over in terms of mission stories or anything, but so far 4 out of the 5 levels I've talked about are truly great. Some of the best Hitman levels in my opinion. But then we have the last mission. One of the biggest complaints you can throw at the games individually, in my opinion, is that the final levels have completely disappointed. As I stated before, Hokkaido on the first playthrough had way too many locked doors, and it just put me off replaying it at all. Hitman 2's Isle of Scale map really did disappoint. It had some great mission stories, but just the one target was a bit disappointing. There also were just way too many guards to do anything and get away with it. But when I say that Hitman 3's Carpathian Mountains in Romania is one of the worst Hitman levels I've ever played, I truly mean it. The only fun I got from playing this level at all was when I tried to do the Silent Assassin suit only playthrough. That was the only fun I had playing this level. This is even more disappointing when you factor in this is the final level, probably for the next like 10 years in terms of Hitman, when you consider IO Interactive are working on a James Bond game, and we'll probably get more than one of those. We might not see a Hitman game for a while. The fact that they ended the trilogy with this game, disappointing to say the least. While story-wise it is a good conclusion, I will give them that, the fact that it's so linear reminded a lot of players of Hitman Absolution. And yes, at the time I was a huge Hitman Absolution fan. But having played through the whole trilogy now and mastered every single level, including this one, it's by far the weakest. The fact that the training levels are better than your final level shows how poorly you've done. I would have much rather had to have waited a couple more months or paid an extra £10 just for this final level to be better. Even if you just swap round the order, made Carpathian Mountains the first one and reordered the story a bit and made you buy the last level and swap round the targets and just did something like that, it would have made the finale a lot more grand. The conclusion to the story was fitting and I did enjoy it. Although the story was subpar at best, it worked, it helped you get from level to level, but it was... you could have done better at IO, and I think you know that. So even considering the fact that 2 of the levels were rather disappointing, how does it make it to one of my favourite and best games of all time? I think the fact that the game has so much content that's good, and it's so replayable. Hitman 3 was on my mind for weeks whilst I was mastering each and every level. In all my free time I was thinking, okay, how could I eliminate this person? How could I do a silent assassin on this level? How could I do a sniper assassin suit only on this level? And that's where the joys come. The game literally makes you feel like Agent 47. One of the least emotional gaming characters of all time somehow seems to be one of the most relatable, I guess is the best way to put it. You truly do feel like Agent 47. Agent 47 is an embodiment of us, the player. And the fact that Hitman 3 throws you a bone and says, go on, find a way to assassinate these people. Find the quickest, most stylish, most inventive ways to kill these targets. And then on top of that, they gave us contract creations where we can make our own targets, meaning the game is literally endless. You can just play it forever and ever and ever because of when you look at the amount of NPCs that you can select and choose how to kill them, add time limits, add factors that you need to stick to. Even talking about it, it gets me excited to play it. And I think that's one of the best things you can say about a game. If I'm thinking about your game when I'm doing other things, you've done a good job. Unless if you've done an awful job, then I'll be thinking about you in my spare time as well. Looking at you, Cyberpunk. But in summary, Hitman 1, 2 and 3 packaged all together in Hitman 3 is one of the best games ever made. You can argue with me all you want, but I'm not going to change my mind, especially considering the whole game is fully playable in VR. If IO Interactive, now free of Square Enix, so they can do whatever they want creatively, if they do as well with the James Bond franchise as they have done here with Hitman, we could genuinely be in for another one. The best games of all time. Right guys, that's it for my video today. I hope you enjoyed. I'm not sure what took over me for the past couple of weeks. I was creating other videos and then Hitman just took over my life and I've enjoyed playing it so much. As I said, I got the platinum on it and I've mastered the whole game. If you haven't already bought it, I give Hitman 3 my seal of approval. It's easily a 10 out of 10 game for me. As I've said time and time again, one of the best games I've ever played. But that's it for me for today, guys. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, that way you'll be notified every single time that I go live or upload a brand new video. Did you like the video? Did you dislike it? Let me know down below and comment what is your favourite game ever made. I won't say this is my favourite, but it's definitely up there for me. If you haven't already checked them out, I've got critiques on other games. The playlist will be right here for you, so make sure to check that out. But that's been it for me today, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.